Good morning, children.
Good morning, ma'am.
We were discussing about prokaryotic cells in the previous class, and we'll continue with the same. Today we have 2 periods. Is there anything special about the next period? Anything special? Any other activity we had planned for today? Yes. Test is there now. And today you are not going to have descriptive test, but it is not multiple choice also, but you will be writing it on Google form. It's a Google form test, but not multiple choice. Okay. So as I told you, you will be having a test next period based on animal kingdom. I don't know how many of you are remembering, but I am remembering. And 10 questions only you will have. It's not a multiple choice test, but it's on Google form. Okay. And the details we'll discuss next period. Not to worry, it's a simple test. And we'll be continuing with prokaryotic cells. Many of the structures or structural features of prokaryotic cells we discussed last class. So we'll be continuing. A few more are remaining. And last class we started with a particular organelle, but we couldn't complete. What was that? What is that? Ribosome. What is special? What is the most important feature of ribosome with respect to its function? They are the sites of protein synthesis, and you can find them either freely scattered in the cytoplasm in certain organelles or found attached to rough endoplasmic reticulum. So we cannot fix a particular location. They are found in different locations. And another feature is that they are not having a membrane covering. They are non-membrane bound organelles, and you can see them both in prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. Ribosomes associated with plasma membrane, size is 15 nanometer by 20 nanometer, and in prokaryotic cells you can find 70S ribosomes. 70S, S is the unit of sedimentation coefficient. You call it as sedimentation coefficient, the rate at which they get sedimented. So based on its density or based on the sedimentation coefficient, there are different types of ribosomes, 70S, 80S, etc. And S stands for Swedberg. I think this chapter itself under eukaryotic cells, you're going to learn about it. Swedberg unit or sedimentation coefficient, that is yes, 70S ribosome. And ribosome, it exists as 2 subunits, whether it is 80S ribosome or 70S ribosome, they exist as 2 subunits. And when they have to synthesize proteins or to perform their function only, these 2 subunits will come and join together. Otherwise, they exist separately. And 70S ribosomes, they are having 2 subunits. One is 50S and 30S. Now you might be thinking 150 and 30 are added up, it should be 80S. Then how come it became 70S? Reason I told you already. When they are existing as 2 different subunits, they sediment at a rate of one is at 50S and 30S. But together, when both these form a single unit, at that time they will sediment at an earlier rate, at a lower rate, that is 70S. Individually, the sedimentation coefficient is 50S for the large subunit and 30S for the small one. But when they are existing as a single unit, then they will sediment at 70S. That is why it got the name 70S, even though it is having 2 subunits, 50S and 30S. They are the sites of protein synthesis. And in the second figure, you can see the picture of a polyribosome or a polysome. Poly, several, many. Polysome or polyribosome, as the name suggests, when several ribosomes are joined together, it you call it as polyribosome. But seeing the picture, I felt so many monkeys are sitting on a branch of tree. I don't know whether you felt or not, with the tail projecting down. Okay, whatever it is, these are actually ribosomes. And these ribosomes are attached. The yellow stick-like thing, what you see, you will be learning about all that later. Messenger RNA. Protein synthesis is taking place with the help of ribosomes. The information present on messenger RNA is getting converted or translated into proteins. So all the technical terms or messenger RNA, polypeptide, protein, you don't have to worry about all that. You will be learning all that, the process by which proteins are synthesized in detail next year. So here you can see the ribosomes. Several ribosomes are attached to a single messenger RNA. So this is messenger RNA, and you can see so many ribosomes attached, and they are forming a chain. And what you see as a tail is a chain of polypeptide. Polypeptide is what, children? What forms, or polypeptide means what? Another name? Poly means several. Several peptides. Where can you find? In chemistry, are you learning about peptide bonds? Peptide bonds? Have you heard about peptide bonds? Yes or no? Children, no. Okay. Amino acids, have you heard? Amino acids. That also not heard. That I have taught you. Yes? Amino acids are the, say. Now no one is there. Wait, let me see your face and ask. Where have you heard about, or where have you learned about amino acids? I have taught you. Some nutrient is getting broken down to amino acids. Which nutrient? In the small intestine. Huh?
Protein.
Proteins. Carbohydrates will break down into glucose molecules, then fats into fatty acids and glycerol, and proteins will break down into amino acids. That means proteins are made up of amino acids, several amino acids. When they are joined by means of peptide bonds, it will form a polypeptide. Polypeptide will form a protein. When several amino acids, just like glucose forms the building blocks of carbohydrates, similarly, amino acids will form the building blocks of proteins. So several amino acids, just like beads on a chain, these amino acids will be arranged and will be held together by peptide bonds. And you call it as a polypeptide. This polypeptide will form a protein. Okay, and proteins, you know, the enzymes, hormones, all these are proteins. So polypeptide is a protein, and I'll show you the picture again. So here you can find, with the help of ribosomes, this is the polypeptide chain being formed, and later it will get separated. So it will get separated and they will form a protein. So what you see is a tail, that is a slowly it is increasing by the formation or by the addition of more and more amino acids. The chain is getting longer and longer. It's forming a polypeptide. You don't have to go into the details. Since the figure is given here, I just mentioned. Polyribosome means, as the name suggests, several ribosomes arranged on a single messenger RNA. And that chain of ribosomes on a single messenger RNA you call as polyribosome. And polyribosome or ribosomes are the sites of protein synthesis. Once again, we'll summarize the points. Several ribosomes attached on a single messenger RNA, forming a chain you call as polyribosome or polysome. Ribosomes are the site of protein synthesis, and in prokaryotic cells, you can see 70 as a ribosome with 50 as and 30 as subunits, and the size is approximately 15 nanometer by 20 nanometer. You can see them associated with the plasma membrane. The ribosomes of a polysome help in the translation of messenger RNA into proteins. And messenger RNA, the information present on messenger RNA will get translated into proteins. So if you are not familiar with these terms like translation, transcription, so there are different steps in protein synthesis. First is transcription, followed by translation. Here, since it is mentioned about translation, I'm saying this, you don't have to learn the details. So for protein synthesis, first the information which is there on the DNA will be copied to RNA. Information present on DNA being copied to RNA is known as transcription. And information on RNA, when it is getting converted to proteins, you call it as translation. Transcription, translation. Okay. So don't worry about all the details of these technical terms. The ribosomes, which are arranged on a polysome, will help in the formation of proteins. By the translation, you call the process as translation, by translating messenger RNA. Messenger RNA will get translated to form proteins with the help of ribosome. Once again, the function of ribosome is that they are the sites of protein synthesis, and when several ribosomes are arranged or attached on a messenger RNA, you call it as polyribosome, and they result in the synthesis of proteins by translating messenger RNA. Shall I change the slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, apart from ribosomes, I told you that in prokaryotic cells, membrane-bound organelles are absent, but they contain ribosomes, and apart from that, the mesosome or chromatophore, all that we said. Apart from that, they have some inclusion bodies. Some inclusion bodies are also present. In the picture, it is marked the inclusion bodies. And what are they? These are the reserve material present in the cytoplasm. They are not bound by any membrane and they lie freely in the cytoplasm. As you can see in the picture, no membrane covering, and these reserve material will be scattered in the cytoplasm. Examples, the phosphate granules, in the granule form, phosphates, glycogen, stored form of glucose, then cyanophycein, that is actually carbohydrate, starch. Cyanophycein granules, glycogen granules, phosphate granules, all these are some examples for inclusion bodies. Membrane-bound organelles are absent in prokaryotic cells. And the structures or the organelles which they have, or the structures present in their body include ribosomes, inclusion bodies, etc. Ribosomes we already discussed. Inclusion bodies are also not having any membrane-bound structure. They are some reserve form of material, and these inclusion bodies can be of different nature. It can be a phosphate, cyanophycein, or glycogen granules. Glycogen is the storage form of glucose. Cyanophycein is also carbohydrate, starch granules, or phosphate granules. All these will get stored, or it will be stored in the cytoplasm of prokaryotic cells. Then gas vacuoles. Another structure what you can find are gas vacuoles. You can find them in blue, green, purple, and green photosynthetic bacteria. So apart from these, there are certain other structures which you call as gas vacuoles present in. Okay, these are found in blue-green. Like for example, cyanobacteria, then purple and green colored photosynthetic bacteria. So these are the different structures present in prokaryotic cells. So once again, I will repeat, inclusion bodies. Inclusion bodies are some reserve materials like phosphates, cyanophycein, or glycogen granules found scattered in the cytoplasm of prokaryotic cells. They are not bound by any membrane. Then apart from that, some of them are having gas vacuoles. or which contain air. These vacuoles will be filled with gas or air, and you can find them in certain bacteria. So when these gas vacuoles are present, they can give them buoyancy or helping them to move in the water bodies or to survive in water bodies. Can we proceed to the next, or you have any doubt? No response. Are you listening? Are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
At times I have told you, no, I feel so lonely here. I have told you also many times, don't leave me alone like this. Very few turn your videos on in spite of wasting so much of my energy. And that too, if something is asked, yes or no. For that, why you should think, children? If you have understood, you say yes. If you don't have any doubt, no doubts. And you are asking, you are thinking that let others respond. Why should I waste my energy? Any doubt? Can we start with eukaryotic cells?
Yes, ma'am.
What is the most? Oh, you joined. Anybody else in the waiting room? Okay. The most important feature that distinguishes a eukaryotic cell from a prokaryotic cell is that they have membrane-bound organelles and also a membrane-bound nucleus. They have a well-defined in the sense that they have got a proper nuclear membrane separating nucleus from the cytoplasm. And here, since they are having membrane-bound organelles, we have learned about some of the cell organelles found in eukaryotic cells. Can you name some of the organelles found in eukaryotic cells? Class 9. Suicide bags, powerhouse of the cell. Name all those organelles. Yes, Malavika, once again.
Mitochondria.
Mitochondria. Then
Golgi apparatus.
Golgi apparatus. Then it can be plant or animal.
Endoplasmic reticulum.
And only Malavika has learned in class 9. All others were double or triple promotion you got after 8th standard. Alandina remaining, you can say. So you don't want to waste your energy. That was the problem, no? So lysosomes, Golgi apparatus, endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, ribosomes, plastids, vacuoles. You have learned about so many organelles. Now here you are going to learn about these different organelles, then its structure, then functions performed, then about the cytoplasm, nucleus, all that you are going to learn in detail. So we have completed prokaryotic cells and moving on to eukaryotic cells. Eukaryotic cells includes protists, plants, animals, and fungi. Which are the 5? Children, can you see? Can you see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Which are the 5 kingdoms that you have learned in class 9? Which kingdom is missing here?
Monera.
Okay. It includes bacteria. So protista, then plant kingdom, animal kingdom, and Plantae, Animalia, and fungi. So different organisms or different kingdoms are mentioned here, except Monera. All others are eukaryotic. Monera includes unicellular prokaryotes, whereas all the other 4, that is fungi, Plantae, Animalia, and Protista, it includes eukaryotic organisms. Eukaryotic organisms are included under all these 4 kingdoms. And protist, what is the difference between protist and the remaining 3 kingdoms, children? Any major difference? All are eukaryotic. But there is another feature which is distinguishing protista from the remaining 3. Protista includes What type of organism? Yes, unicellular organisms. Monera, unicellular and prokaryotic. Protista, unicellular and eukaryotic. Remaining 3 are multicellular, and in fungi and all, we can see even some unicellular, but generally they are multicellular and eukaryotic. Several membrane-bound organelles are seen. A well-organized nucleus is present within nuclear envelope. Nuclear envelope is same as nuclear membrane. Genetic material is organized into chromosomes. So the genetic material, it is organized. You know that it is in the form of a chromatin material or chromatin fibers, but at the time of cell division, they will get condensed. They'll become short and condensed and form what you call as chromosomes. And they are provided with complex locomotory and cytoskeleton structures. Cytoskeleton also, you are cell skeleton or what forms the skeletal structure of the cells, some microtubules, all that you will be learning. In this chapter itself, you will be learning about all these cytoskeletal structures. So apart from all these, they are having complex locomotory and cytoskeleton structures. And if you take the case of plant cells, there are some major differences between plant and animal cells. So if you take the case of plant cells, they have a cell wall. Apart from plasma membrane, they have a cell wall made up of cellulose, plastids. Different types of plastids you had learned in class 9, and a large central vacuole. These are absent in animal cells. Animal cells do not contain a cell wall. Plastids are absent in them. They have vacuoles, but not large vacuoles, and that too at the center. And we can easily distinguish. If you just see a figure of two cells, you can easily distinguish a plant and animal cell. One is based on the presence of cell wall. If cell wall is present, it's a plant cell. If you need to distinguish only between plant and animal, bacterial cells too have cell wall. So what I'm saying is, if two cells are given, pictures of two cells are given, and you are asked to identify the plant and animal cell, you can make out that based on these following features. One is the presence of a cell wall in plant cell, and in plant cell you can see the nucleus will be slightly shifted towards one side because they have a central vacuole, a large central vacuole. The number of vacuoles will be less in number in plants, but they'll be large in size. In animal cells too, vacuoles are there, but they'll be smaller in size. Animal cells, they have got centrioles, which are absent in plant cells. I don't think you have heard about centrioles. Centrioles are certain structures which play a very important role in cell division. Centrioles also, in this chapter you're going to learn, there is an organelle known as centrosome. Inside the centrosome, two centrioles are present. And it is from these centrioles that spindle fibers are formed. Don't worry about spindle fibers. Spindle fibers and all you will be learning in cell division. Spindle fibers, suppose if this is a cell, when cell division has to take place, these centrioles will move towards the opposite poles and they will produce some spindle fibers, and the chromosomes will be arranged with the help of these spindle fibers. So these spindle fibers will help in cell division. They help in the alignment of chromosomes at the time of cell division. So there are centrosomes in animal cells which contain two centrioles each, and these centrioles play an important role in cell division. They help in producing spindle fibers, which is necessary for the alignment of chromosomes. So details you will be learning when you learn about cell division, but these centrioles are absent in absent in plant cells, present in animal cells. Now you might be thinking, if these are playing an important role in cell division, how can plant cells carry out cell division? without these centrioles. Even though plant cells are not having centrioles, they are capable of managing cell division. They can produce spindle fibers from other structures, from structures other than centrioles. So in animal cells, centrioles are present. They play an important role in cell division. And in plant cells, even though centrioles are absent, they can also manage to produce spindle fibers from other structures. Okay, the different cells, a cell of a protist, fungus, plant, and animal are given over here. Once again, eukaryotic cells or eukaryotes include protists, plants, animals, and fungi. Or eukaryotic cells are found in Protista, Plantae, Animalia, and fungi. And these cells are the cells with which they are made up of consist of membrane-bound organelles. They have a well-organized nucleus. That is one of the most important feature. And here the genetic material form chromosomes at the time of cell division. Otherwise, they'll remain as thread-like structures. You call it as chromatin material or chromatin fibers. They are also provided with locomotory and cytoskeletal structures. And some differences between plant and animal cells they have mentioned. Plant cells have cell wall, plastids, and a large central vacuole absent in animal cells, whereas animal cells have centrioles absent in plant cells. Now we'll start with the membrane covering. So there are three main parts for any cell: cell membrane or plasma membrane, nucleus, and cytoplasm. These are the three main parts of a cell. Cell membrane is also known as plasma membrane. And cell membrane and cell wall are not the same. Cell membrane and plasma membrane are the same, but cell wall and cell membrane are two entirely different membranes. Cell membrane is found in all plants and animal cells, but cell wall is found only in plant cells and not in animal cells. And their structure, their nature, all those are different. Like cell wall is made up of cellulose. Plasma membrane is made up of proteins and lipids. So we are going to learn about the outermost boundary in eukaryotic cells. It's made up of eukaryotic cells, even though it is mentioned, plasma membrane forms the outermost boundary in animal cells. But both in plant and animal cells, plasma membrane or cell membrane is present, composed of a lipid bilayer, two layer of lipids you can see. As it is in the picture, you can see them arranged just like matchsticks in two rows. So these are, hope you all can see the figure. Just a minute. So this is one layer. This is another layer. So two layers of lipids you can find with the polar hydrophilic head. The head region, which is hydrophilic, water loving, that is placed towards the outer side, whereas the hydrophobic part is, this is the hydrophobic part. Okay, hydrophilic is water loving. So that is placed towards the outer side. So it is made up of two layers of lipids with the polar hydrophilic head arranged towards the outer side, whereas the hydrophobic tail is arranged towards the inner side. Thus, the non-polar hydrophobic tail is protected from the aqueous environment. So because the plasma membrane can get exposed to different environment, but this arrangement will protect. So in a lipid, it is having two parts, a hydrophilic water loving and a water fearing part. which cannot resist or which cannot withstand aqueous environment. So here the arrangement is in such a way that the hydrophobic tail is placed towards the inner side. So they are not coming in direct contact with the water or aqueous environment, whereas the water loving part will be facing the external environment that can withstand aqueous environment. So the arrangement of the lipid bilayer is like this. Proteins and carbohydrates. So apart from this lipid bilayer, it is not only lipids forming the plasma membrane. It's made up of proteins and lipids. And even carbohydrates can also be found making up the membrane. Main components are proteins and lipids. And proteins are of different types. You can see in between the first figure, if you check, this first figure you can see many other structures scattered in between the membrane. See? So those are proteins. Those are proteins, and proteins you can classify into different types. And here you can see even sugar molecules. That is why it is mentioned. Carbohydrates are also present. Carbohydrates, proteins and fats make up the plasma membrane. Children, it's already time. So we'll be continuing. So thank you, children. We'll see you next period. Okay. Come prepared for the test and don't be absent.